Memory Foam, a cool side of the pillow spin-off show where Vince and Josh talk on an array of topics.
Almost nothing is off limits.
From dreams to pop culture, join us as our boys blurt out complete and utter nonsense until they tire themselves out. Please, just try to enjoy it.
All right, welcome to Memory Foam. I'm Josh with, what's your name?
Welcome everyone to Vincent Night Raw.
Vincent Night Raw. Of course, you go right into wrestling. That's the hot take from Vince. Do you still watch wrestling?
Well, that was what the old Vince used to say. I mean, you know, the guy who, Vince McMahon, yikes. We won't get into all of his misdeeds and legal stuff and awfulness. However, he used to open up Monday Night Raw when he was an announcer. He'd be like, welcome everyone to Monday Night Raw. Raw. Anyway.
That's it? That's his thing?
Yeah, that was the thing for a long time. But anyway, it's funny. We were talking the other day about do you still watch wrestling or whatever? And I was really quick to be like, no, I don't watch it. I don't watch the weekly shows. But, you know, I do watch the recaps of the weekly shows of, you know, Raw, SmackDown, and then on AEW, like usually they do one for Dynamite. And so I watch all those, and I also watch the premium live events for WWE that are now on ESPN, which is a whole thing, but whatever. With all the, I don't know, it's just price gouging. But because like me personally, I got ESPN for those. That's pretty much it. Like I don't really watch sports like that. But when you would ask, do I watch any of it? It's like, I watch 3 review shows. Then I watch What Culture Wrestling. Simon Miller, he does the Ups and Downs, which is the review shows. Wrestling Bios, Wrestling Lore, Wrestling with Regret. I watch Maven Huffman, Stevie Richards, James Romero, Jim Cornette, Chris Van Vliet, Wrestle Me, which is hilarious, and Dark Side of the Ring on Hulu. So no, I don't really follow wrestling at all. Like, no.
That's not good. What is a true fan? How long is their list?
I would think that their list is probably a little bit longer with some of the other, because there's so many other like wrestlers who tell their stories and have their podcasts and stuff. And, you know, there's other like interviewers and whatever else. These are just like the ones that resonate with me or whatever that I really like. But what was the question?
No, I was just saying, like, you had this massive list. Do you and you're like, I don't really watch wrestling, but do you actually? How much actual wrestling do you watch? Is it mostly just recap shows then?
Like, it's a lot of recap and behind the scenes stuff because that sometimes is so much more interesting. But I do watch the actual wrestling when there's like a premium live event, which is usually like once a month.
Do you watch week to week stuff?
No, that's in like the recap. So anything that happens in the like, so Simon Miller, I'll watch him and he'll be like, on this week's SmackDown, this stuff happened, and he'll say whether he liked it or he didn't like it.
Is that the one you sent me? He's like, is he the bald guy? He's wild.
Yeah,
he's funny though.
He's funny. Yeah. Like, you're like, I have no idea what any of this is about.
He could be talking about anything and would.
But his delivery is great. He's very positive. He's a very like kind person. It seems like whenever he's out, like he'll do review shows at, like, say, WrestleMania, and he'll be outside, and, like, people will walk up and be like, hello, my friend, and they'll be coming up, and they'll be chatting with him, and like, we love you, Simon, and...
Looks like he gives good hugs.
Oh, yeah, he's a strong dude, and he's taken, like, wrestling, like, strikes before from people, and it's like, ooh. Like, he took, I forget what it was, Brody King, who's in AEW, like... chopped him or did something, like smacked the hell out of him. I forget what he did to him exactly, but it's like something that would make most men like go to the hospital forever. And Simon was like, ooh, me gollies, it hurt. Or, you know,
what is his background?
So a ways back, he was like, he did video game review stuff, I think.
Okay, so he's not a wrestler then.
He is actually, crazy enough, like for the past several years, he has been. He does like a lot of indie stuff.
But before
he's pretty
his
good.
show. Sorry, I kind of like took you off course. So he before he started doing this wrestling recap show, he's just a fan basically, though?
The origin of the origin is, I think, I could be wrong, but a ways back, he reviewed video games and stuff, because I feel like he's talked about that before in his current review show. Mm-hmm. And then eventually, like, his passion's always been like wrestling, and he loves video games and stuff like that. And he eventually got with What Culture Wrestling. I don't know exactly how. And then, eventually ended up starting wrestling himself. And he's pretty good and entertaining. And he plays a bad guy sometimes, which is crazy because he's like a super nice guy. And then you see him kind of be a bad guy. It's like, oh, God.
Well, I know some of those guys will start like as wrestler. Almost like, I'll put it this way, how there's most sports announcers or play-by-play guys are nowadays, at least. It used to be more like just we're professional announcers, but then there's a point where the ex-players become the announcers. So yeah, I didn't know if that was the case.
No, yeah, guy. He always loved it, and he loved reviewing it, and then eventually he was like, I'm going to start wrestling, and yeah, so it's pretty cool.
Right. That's cool.
So yeah, he's I don't know. I think like him, like Chris Van Vliet as well. He does like some really good wrestling interviews and always comes up with great questions and is like, yeah, I mean, they just seem like really good dudes. So anyway, I just, yeah, the guy like Stevie Richards, Maven, James Romero, all these guys, like, for the most part, whenever they have a take on something, my take is very similar. Or if I don't have a take, I'll be like, yep, I agree with that. Or because they call it armchair booking. Like when you, when you like, they're like, oh, this is how I would book things. But they give a lot of insight. And,
same thing, right?
Yeah, they give a lot of insight into things, into how the background stuff and the inner workings of it all, which like I said, is sometimes more fun than the actual wrestling that's going on. Not to downplay any of it, but that's just how I feel sometimes. That's like, and that's how I am sometimes with shows. I'm like, I'm much more interested in like what really happened with the family on Malcolm in the Middle. Not that I really watched that show, but it's like some things really happened. Like all of a sudden it's like, okay, I'm into that more than I'm into, the reruns of that show.
So the other thing I was going to ask real quick is what actual, like, I know there's different AEW, there's WWE, like things. Mm-hmm. What ones do you watch?
So WWE, follow. I follow what's going on in WWE and AEW, but I only watch the WWE premium live events.
Okay.
So the actual wrestling that I watch, in-ring product is WWE.
In-ring product, now, I like that.
It's a lot of. But AEW, I found out that like their back catalog of weekly shows and pay-per-views are on Max, and they go from like 2019 up until like 2025. So I think they wait until a new year hits and they release the previous years, and they keep So I might start watching that because from like, and I watch little clips sometimes too of like crazy moves or things people do, and it's excellent. It's tough. Like I could go into this whole thing about WWE and like their deal with TKO and how much their tickets cost, like how outrageously overpriced they are, and how I'm not going to say how I feel about it, but a lot of people feel like there's sports washing going on because they'll have their events in like Saudi Arabia and they're like, oh, you're taking blood money for having these events out here and you're sports washing and all this stuff. And it really takes the piss out of the actual thing itself, like, yeah. But it does feel like, and then, so it's that, the fact that like tickets are so pricey, and then the fact that like, people used to be able to get like on Peacock in the States for under $10. You could watch the PLEs, they call them, premium live events, because it's technically not a pay-per-view. But now you have to, if you don't already have the big wonderful package, you have to get the ESPN package that's like $30 a month to watch the PLEs that used to cost you like under $10.
Do you have to get the package and then pay on top of it? Like
no.
Oh, okay.
Well, you get it. It's like the $30. It's like that and Hulu and Disney or something, which they're getting rid of Hulu. That's a whole other thing.
Really?
Yeah. I think Disney's absorbing them somehow, and you'll still have all the content, but pretty much it'll all just be Disney under everything.
Yeah.
And then the brainwashing can begin. Okay, anyway, sorry, I'm getting one of us, Mickey Mouse.
Unless like
Sorry.
Netflix buys them, you know what I mean? It's the other. It's all this different, crazy.
It's wild. That's
Netflix
what happens though when these
Spotify
mergers happen or these absorptions happen by companies. Like a lot of times the product can get diluted.
Isn't this what happened with all the railroads and stuff back in the day?
Yeah.
Monopolies and things, just
Yeah.
huge
Things get
conglomerates.
diluted, aka
Steel companies,
infrastructure
all-
crumbles, and your railroad is made of cheap shit.
No competition.
Yeah, say what you will about that and about the Vince McMahon awfulness. But like, if you're just a fan of like watching people do cool moves and like silly stories, and it's like a variety show. It's like SNL with like some athletics and stuff.
That's a great way to put it.
It's like not every single thing you're gonna like in a buffet. But okay, so what? You didn't like the match between like the two silly guys that slapped each other with rubber chickens. Okay, you might like the super serious broken glass in the eyeball match, or you know what I mean? Like there's gonna be something that you're like, okay, this interests me, or this is fine. And I think for me, I've never been super into regular sports because I guess there's not enough fiction or not enough background. Like it's just like, hi, I'm Tom Smith. I like to play sports. I get paid a lot to play them. Hey, I made another touchdown. Like to me, it's like, well, what's going on in your life? What's going on behind the scenes? Do you have superpowers? Are you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's just, it's campy. It's kind of like comics. It's kind of like, animated series and stuff like Dragon Ball when they'd have like these tournaments and stuff. Like, yes, they're drawings. And yes, these guys all know that it's fake. Like wrestling knows it's fake, but I don't want to say fake because, a lot of times guys are really hitting each other and they're really getting hurt in the ring and running the ropes hurts and everything hurts. It's choreographed. It's predetermined. So people are like, oh, that's fake. It's like, well, no, it's just it's scripted. It's predetermined, but you don't watch like a Spider-Man movie and sit there and be like, this is bullshit. This isn't real. And you don't have Spider-Man swinging around on his webs fighting Green Goblin. They both look at you and they're like, this isn't real, right? We're not real. This isn't a real thing. Like, of course, within that universe, they feel real. You suspend your disbelief. They feel real. They're real to each other in that narrative, in that work. Same thing with wrestling. Like, you really expect, if it was real, the matches would be about 3 seconds long. It would end up being like UFC, where like you have guys who might be incredibly skilled, but it ends up in ground and pound, until someone can't ever walk again.
Wow.
Anyway, I'm just saying, like, maybe that's why that's what the stuff that draws me into it and still watching it. But I know a lot of my friends who like wrestling and they like regular sports as well. But I mean, it's all kind of the same thing. It's just cool to have like these characters who battle for these titles. I mean, like you could be a more into like serious stuff like boxing, and you watch the career of like Muhammad Ali and him ascend and get belts and do whatever. Mm-hmm. But he was entertaining because you kind of knew some stuff about him and he told stuff about himself, and he was flamboyant and gave these great promos and things, and that's what hooked people in. So it's like, that's just kind of what wrestling does now. It just kind of expands off that. It realizes like, oh, there's something here, and maybe I would, I think I would love the shit out of football. I would love it if I could see more of like, this is Kelsey's real life. This is what he, this is, I mean, I want to see like a reality show with him and Taylor because yuck, but like, just like know a little bit more about the players and what they've been through, what they've done, stuff like that. And I don't know if like really cool things happen. I don't know.
Well, I think it's out there now more than it used to be, for sure.
It is.
Like even that Travis Kelce and his brother have a podcast, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They talk and stuff. So you can get more into. I don't see it. It's funny because I just watch NFL. I'll watch other sports too, but the only thing I watch, religiously, I guess you'd say, is NFL and Buffalo Bills specifically. But I don't even go crazy deep on like, I don't know, like, oh, this was like, I know most of the major coaches and players and stuff, but at the same time, they're like, somebody was to challenge me, I'd lose real quick. I don't know deep roster. I don't know, like, I've watched since I was a kid, like since the 90s, since the heydays, but like I can't go deep on it. And it's like funny because we talked about that too, how you can go like, you can hold your own with like what the stuff, especially like wrestling that you really, really love, where you can talk pretty deep and talk about the characters and the history and all that. And even some of the behind the scenes of the actual companies, like you were just doing. Like, I just kind of watch. And I guess my biggest thing for sports in general is it is like the only real thing to watch. You don't know what the outcome is. Like that phrase, the any given Sunday.
And see, that's the huge difference is, as an audience of wrestling, you're not like, you have your hunches like, oh, this guy's probably going to win or whatever. But like, you don't know. But I think the fact that anybody watching wrestling,
somebody
knowing
does.
that
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
Somebody does. That's what I'm
So the thing that like, that sort of takes away the excitement of like you said, like an actual, I don't want to say an actual sport because, again, I don't want to alienate people or them to get upset.
Unplanned for,
a traditional
versus planned.
A traditional sport, or maybe something that's not as grandiose as professional wrestling, not to be confused with amateur wrestling.
Well, scripted sport and unscripted sport, I guess.
I think all of it is wonderful. I don't want any large beefcakes coming after me and hurting me. I'm just it's all very skilled. It's all dedication and wear and tear on your body. I think it's all great. Very simply, I am ADD, OCD, and regular sports don't hold my attention. That's a me thing. And I'm more into fiction and like what the character's like and what's going on and whatever. And sometimes the sillier the better, like, so that's kind of where I'm coming from. Like, you watch a fun B movie that's like a little sillier, campy and whatever. And it like, and then, you get to see some cool ass moves and whatever. Like, it's incredible. Yeah. But like, the same with like regular sports. Obviously there's merit in them. Skip, Scott, Scarrett, a hell of a lot of merit. But it's my
I do
chant.
declare it.
I do declare it.
I would just think you would like that aspect, I guess.
Yeah. I'm sorry, the spontaneity, or not the spontaneity, but the
true
you can't
live
predict.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't know how it's going to end.
That's incredible.
Like,
see, for me,
and these people are like superheroes. This is the other thing. Like, they are like on another level in their performance in the top 1% of athletes in the world. And there is a background, and so it seems like it is like, it's a weird thing because you really, these people, and I know we're not the first to even draw this connection, but I've thought of it a long time too, is like the obsession of people who are into like comics and superheroes and the people who are obsessed with sports and sports, the athletes. It's like both are superhuman people, and they both get into the deep stats, and they both get into the like, I collect things, and like the
more
whole hyperfixation. Yeah, really. It's funny. And it's like, I'm surprised there isn't more crossover.
It is funny when you'll see like a really corny, like 1978, like Spider-Man issue where it's like him and the Harlem Globetrotters and they fight cavities or something. Like, not in this neighborhood, cavities, fuck off. We're about to play basketball real good, and Spider-Man's gonna fuck you up. Like,
and that was even real basketball, because those were all planned. Those are more like wrestling. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like,
it's just I guess it really just depends on your own taste and your own attention span and a bunch of other factors. And I'm not saying that people who watch wrestling either have short attention spans. I'm not saying any of that at all. I'm just saying I know personally what draws me to wrestling is, it's these larger than life characters. It's like some of these silly storylines, some that are like kind of resonate with you. You're like, yeah, I hate my boss too. Or, oh yeah, I want to do whatever. So, it's very cathartic and whatever. And sometimes, Stone Cold kicking, the owner in the nuts and spitting beer in his face and slapping his wife or whatever happened. Like, sometimes that to me is much cooler than, touchdown, which is still awesome, right? But, like, I don't know. I some people just need grandiose, crazy fiction in their lives. And some people, like, can really appreciate traditional, more of like the pure love of like the game and the, all that stuff. And I'm not saying there's a right or wrong to it. And I can certainly appreciate that. Like for me, if someone was like, dude, it's the last 5 minutes of this game, I'm there. I will watch the last 5 minutes. Have you tried watching
the red zone, like NFL red zone, where it's just like whenever the teams are in scoring position? That might be for you. It's super fast paced. For me, I actually can't handle it, because it's like, I want to watch that full game or at least set of plays.
I think that's my thing too, is there's way too much like stuff that like I like to like read and listen to and watch that like I'm like, don't get into sports too. You're not gonna you're just never gonna leave your home. Like it's
well, have you, so I wanted to ask you that. Have you ever tried, because this is the other,
have you ever left your home?
We're working on it. We got to get
we're working on it. I got to grease the doorway.
Yeah. So have you tried to like pick a team and whatever sport it is and like just be like, like I have a friend who loved the Denver Broncos because of their colors, and John Elway, but like the colors, he liked them. He was orange and blue, and it's nice colors, and he stuck with them because of that for all these 40 some years.
There's a bit about that.
Sure. So could you pick one though? Like have you tried that where you pick a team just because
I'm like whatever. I'm like,
and it couldn't get you into it even? That didn't work? Not
really. Like you follow like, hey, that's my team. It's like it's whatever. Like I did fantasy football and that was fun, but like.
Okay.
What I would always do though is I always pick like the players that had the best like odds and whatever, and I wouldn't let at all. Like I had an advantage, and I came in first, but then there was some game where a guy broke his leg or something happened, and it was like, oh no, are we going to count this or not? And then days later they did decide to count it, so then I lost by like a very small point, whatever, because of that. It's like but. I took all of like you have an advantage if you do that, because like if you're fond of certain teams or certain players, you're like, oh, I'm playing my boy, and it's like if you just play for like the cold calculated math of it all, you're like haha, but also it's kind of not satisfying because like there's no love, there's no heart in it, and that's what I did. So I felt like a fraud. So that was fun for me. No,
because I don't watch wrestling anymore. I used to watch it when I was a kid. I used to like it. I never had cable and never did the pay-per-views though either. That was the weird part. I always wanted to, but I never really did because I was never considered a wrestling fan, even though it'd come on Saturday mornings in my local Fox affiliate after like kind of cartoons and stuff. Mm-hmm. It came on, I think it was noon or whatever it was, and I'd watch it almost every Saturday. Those were always the most boring fights though, except for I think they had one okay one.
Because they would have jobbers, as they call them, guys who like... Local talent or like enhancement talent is like the nice way to put it. Ham and eggers, but like whatever you want to call them.
Who's gonna win?
Yeah. They just
like
put
it's so almost boring.
Ultimate Warrior versus Brad Jones.
Yes.
Good, go Brad. Who's cheering for Brad? No one is. I'm cheering for him if he gets up and isn't paralyzed. Like, hooray, Bradley! Hey, all the Brad girls, let me hear you say hey. And like it's just like crickets.
Why did they do that though? Why didn't they have like more main events and like?
Well, they do that more now, but it sucks though because like, now you'll have guys who are like really good, and you're like, oh shit, he's gonna job out to so and so. Fuck, like he's too good to. But then you run that problem of having a bunch of no names.
Isn't there still a chance though that they're like, oh, we're gonna have the underdog win?
In some, but. Recently with WWE, things have become extremely predictable. Like they were exciting for a while because like evil McMahon was gone and things were changing, but the TKO takeover of WWE has really, it's been price gouging, it's been alienating the fans, it's been making the product not great, and they need to correct course. There's also a conspiracy theory out there, it might come true, I don't know, but like that. TKO is prepping it for a sale to the Saudis, and it would be like, and then it would be a very different product, because even now when female wrestlers wrestle out there, they have to be like covered like neck to toe, like completely. Really? Yeah. So who knows? There might be some crazy changes on the horizon. I mean, but some people also look at it as, hey, Saudi's trying to be a little more progressive and move forward and not be so, maybe as oppressive as once perceived or as they once were, It's dicey. Yeah. I'm not trying to get too much into all this, but like I'm just kind of saying how different sides view all this stuff. But that would be wild if, TKO were to ever sell or who knows what. But I don't know. I just feel like something needs to change. It was very exciting and fun for a while, and the past few months have not been great, so hopefully they can, fix it. But that it comes in waves. You know, like wrestling will have like its periods where it's really good and then periods where it's like starts to suck. And the periods might last years. They might last, you know, a few months, and you go a year or two and it's not great. But there's usually something in there that's fun. And a lot of the background stuff, behind the scenes, the interviews and stuff I love.
I didn't even know what it was. I just had to look it up real quick. So
yeah, UFC.
Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. They own UFC, and they own WWE, and
so they're just American sports entertainment company. So that's the other thing, though, too. I think the NFL is technically like an entertainment company, which I'm
wild.
sure. Well, so there's those conspiracy theories out there that's all fixed and stuff, and which is obviously
it's all I think like the games are all scripted and
which is to me absolutely insane to think that they could ever pull something like that off. It's like there's
it's especially stuff that's dangerous.
People.
Like, all right, you know, player whatever. I can't think of any football player names.
Sure,
I'm so embarrassed. But they're like, hey, you're going to go out there and so-and-so is going to break your neck, okay? Like, paralyze you for life. Are you ready for that?
Damar Hamlin, his heart stopped on the Buffalo Bills. It was a huge deal.
Scripted?
Like he almost died. Yeah,
it was scripted. Yeah, sport, it's just too boring. They have to spice it up a little.
You'd think if it was scripted, though, then the Bills would have finally gone to the Super Bowl and won, you know, like, we did it for our boy. Or, like, this would be the I don't know. It's just like so.
No, I think it's the long con. What they wanted.
Yeah, right.
The long con is they want it to be where, like, say, our generation gets up to be about 60 years old, 70 years old, when we're, like, just close to enough to dying. And then the Bills finally win. So in our lifetime, we finally saw that. We can finally jerk off and die and be happy, right? Like,
what about our parents? Yeah.
Fuck them. No, I'm just kidding. What about our parents? Man, they've had their... Fuck that.
No, I just think that for me, watching as a kid, if I would have been hooked with more of the pageantry that you're used to watching now, I probably would have been lifer. But I also did try a few times, and I just... I hope this doesn't offend you. Well, I don't know why. It's just not like it's just something you love. I just don't think that, like, this is a weird hang up I have, because you're like, I don't like the real sports, but I like, you know, you're like all the writing, but I don't think the writing is that good.
No, it's
That's
not.
my thing. So
no,
like,
it's not.
And I know you like a lot of stuff that has really good writing, so I'm just like, why can't they get some? This is ridiculous, but Shakespearean. Like, why can't somebody who does like Breaking Bad, Game of Thrones, whatever, Sopranos, like, get really good writers?
It's hard. I think the thing is it's sort of limiting, right? Like, if it's like, your setting is a wrestling arena and ring, off the bat, it's very limiting in what you can do. It's not like you can recreate The Office and have like a bunch of cubicles in the arena, or like you could, but it would be
like
weird, right?
Andre
like what's going on here? So yeah, it would be hard to do that. So the writing is as good as it can be for wrestling. Like, either you can just have two galoots like wrestle, and you know, that's it, and you just watch it and they make comments about it and it's like, okay, whatever, or you put a little more theatrics into it, and
which I think is a good thing.
You do what you can with what you have, right? So like, it's really hard to write really good, compelling. I mean, I think you can write really good, compelling wrestling stuff. However, when you have a roster, it's also the practical side of things. When you have a roster of like 50, 60 talents and you're trying to get them all in and do things, it's really hard to make sure that every single storyline is a gem. Sometimes you want a little silly, dumb thing, and sometimes it doesn't work. But that, to me, that's some of the, like, what makes it so brilliant and fun. Like SNL, sometimes there's a sketch that's like falls flat and you're like, that wasn't the best sketch, but they tried and it's awesome. I still love it.
I would 100% argue, though, that the writers on SNL are leaps and bounds better than anybody who's writing on.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I'm saying, what I'm getting at is, like, imagine a WWE or whatever you want to call it, wrestling, with top tier writers. And I understand there's confines, but that's sometimes where they say the best are the rise to the top, right? Because they're...
Yeah. So, but that could happen. The only thing is you would need a much smaller roster. Like, you wouldn't have as many characters. You'd have less characters. And also, if a particular wrestler were to do something so fantastical and got hurt, or even just mundane, because sometimes they do like a regular thing and they get hurt, then it's like, uh-oh, that whole script is put on hold now. That whole storyline's put on hold now.
Yeah, but think so
and
that
it might
happens
not
in real
ever get
sports
resolved.
too.
And, yeah, exactly.
So, but think of I just think to me that would be out of this world better. Because if you think about it, because then Vince, now what you're doing is tying in that real factor of like, Vince might jump off the top turnbuckle and break his leg, and he's going to be out, and they're going to have to write him. How are they going to write him out? Or what is he going to do? Is he going to be the arm, the coach in the wheelchair now, or like what is they going to do? Like
he broke his arm. He's in a wheelchair. Sorry. No, it's all right.
That's great.
He's limping profusely.
So like, man, they're really phoning this one in. He broke his arm. Why is he in the wheelchair? Just try to enjoy it.
Yeah.
But just imagine like a season or whatever. Do they even go by seasons, or is it?
So one thing they did, they had what they called Lucha Underground, and that was on Netflix for a while, and I never got to watch it. I meant to, and that was much more like really like they tried really hard with the writing, and they tried to make it more like, you know, very storyline driven, but like with all the athletics and everything else. But I think the thing with wrestling is they want to have, you know, they want to go and they want to do all these shows and these live shows and these local shows and stuff like that, and overseas shows, that all this stuff that like isn't always going to be televised or whatever, or chronicled necessarily. So if you were to write, like, that's the thing is, it's like the practicality of having like the best writers imaginable and whatever else would mean a lot of things. It would mean like, okay, well, we got to strictly limit it to whatever's on television, because anything that happens off canon, someone could videotape and be like, well, this guy's best friends with this guy, but they hate each other. He's the bad guy. He's the good guy, but they're friends now.
Does that not happen already?
It does, but it's like now, like kayfabe, as they call it, is like dead. So like most people like myself kind of separate the two. Like when I'm watching it, I try to just get into like some of the silly stories or some of the stuff that's going on and just kind of follow it. But then the other end is like armchair booking. You're talking about, well, that's stupid. They put this guy over. They should have done this, or this is, you know. So, it's possible to do it, but like you wouldn't be able to do a lot of live shows. That would make it hard, and you'd have to write a lot of extra stuff just for kind of throwaway stuff, filler. And good writers don't, you know, necessarily write a lot of filler, so like that would be tough, and you'd have to like decrease the roster a lot in order to have that happen. And it could, but you'd have to like.
I feel like they would have to just change. Probably it would have to not be this current format. It would have to be almost a new hybrid format to do what we're talking about.
So it's more like, okay, we've got all these guys and girls who are capable of wrestling, and we've got the talent, or the pool talent, whatever. Now it's like, now the writing follows. Whereas in the way you're doing it, the right way to do it would be have the writing and then be like, hey, so-and-so, you're a good wrestler. Would you play this role? And so you're right. It would be a complete reversal on the whole thing. And I'm sorry, I interrupted what you said.
No, I'm just saying, like, for the traveling stuff, maybe it would just be, you know, like most anybody who goes on tour, from a comic to band to even a musical that goes through you know, from town to town. I could still do that. Maybe they're just playing the same show at each stop. You know, that episode or that.
But then that would get criticized, because it'd be like, oh God, every time they're live, it's always the same outcome. With it's like, yeah, you know, we've already seen this once. Why do we need to see the end of The Lion King every time?
So the funniest part is like the outcome was going to be the outcome no matter when they performed it anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. That's the thing that's so frustrating with fandoms of anything. Is once you become a fan of anything, it could be comics, a show, wrestling, football, whatever, you know, you either become a fan who is like, hey, I appreciate it and I love it, but I can be a little bit critical of certain things because I want the best for it. I want it to be the best it can be. Or you become very cynical and jaded, and you're like, oh, everything sucks. I hate all of it. It's all stupid, and I'm much better than all of it, and blah, blah, blah. And
but I watch everything about it, and
but I watch everything,
and
yeah, exactly. So
it's like, who's
tough.
winning here, buddy?
Yeah, certainly not you. Certainly not.
I don't know.
No championship belt for you.
Right. I still think it'd be a fun idea to see. And it would. I also know that you have the one aspect of not everybody's The Rock, right? Or even Hulk Hogan going on to have a quote unquote acting career. And I know there's other ones you could name a bunch, I'm sure, but they're all great actors in their own, like, they've been cast already. They're going to be a wrestler. Maybe they have a shtick. Like, oh, I'm an all movie actor. Oh, I'm the oil baron, and oh, I'm the wild guy. So I understand that part, but you know what I mean? Like,
I'm the wild guy.
That's all.
What's your deal? Nobody knows.
Doink the clown, right? So I'm saying, like, they could still have these people maybe aren't thespians, so and so, but like, I just don't think you have. I don't know. I'm not saying you have to get everything. Like, the acting has to be great. They still keep the same. It'd still be about the wrestling, but you could just write better scripts. And
yeah, I think, like, so now that I've had a chance to kind of think about it, if I were to do it, it would be like, okay, let's write out several narratives that may or may not tie into each other that revolve around this wrestling organization. Like, the series Glow was really good on Netflix. Like,
that was great. That
was awesome. Mark Maron. I almost said R.I.P. King. That's awful. No, his show is over, but
yeah, I know.
It's sad. But no, he better live for a very long time. I want him to be my new papa. That got weird. So, what were we talking about?
No, keep exploring this space.
Keep exploring this space.
You're saying
to do it right. To do it right is you would have to have. So you'd have to have in mind, okay, if you wanted to do it well, do we want an end point here? Because, like, some of the best shows know when it's time to call it quits, and they tell a story and that's it. They don't, like, try to milk it for everything it's worth. So you'd have to figure out a stop and a beginning. Ending. What's that?
Wrestling's just never ending, really.
Exactly. Like. That's the other thing that's, like, counterintuitive to, or not necessarily counterintuitive to, like, a well-written show, but, like, that makes it so difficult to do is it's going and going and go. Like, I
don't know. I think I like Game of Thrones, for example. Did you watch that?
No, I eventually will, but I know
aware of it.
I'm aware of it. I've heard of one of the Thrones.
But they had so many different characters, and each, because the Game of Thrones, they're all these different, kingdoms or areas are trying to become the ruler, sit on the Iron Throne, right? And it got convoluted, and it's somewhat hard to follow sometimes. But I wonder about that aspect with wrestler. Like, it's almost got that built in where there's. All of a sudden, this person's coming in from the West, and you're like, "Oh, what? Who's this now?"
So
and then
it could be ongoing. Then, if someone has to leave, okay. So I guess the main things it would need then is it would need to know when it begins and when it ends, or how to keep it going if they want to keep it going.
You could have storylines die, but the kingdom would always keep going.
Yeah. The Federation would always continue on, finding their new champion and their new whatever, and blah blah blah. So
yeah. So and I'm not saying it's drastically different than now. I'm just saying that it would just be better writing.
Yeah. But it would be kind of drastically different. You'd really have to restructure stuff. Like, it wouldn't be, hey, we've got this pool of talent that works for us that we can use. It's we have to now we write out our initial script and our initial storylines, and we're finding people who can fit these roles. And then until we know what we want to do or where we want to move the pieces or add any other characters, we will develop these characters. And it'd almost be a thing where, like, you got to wait until you find someone who can both act and wrestle competently, and someone who can write well enough for them to make it good. So you wouldn't be able to have a lot of people on your roster to begin with. You'd have maybe like 12, 20 at most. And, then you can slowly bring people in and out and whatever. But it would definitely...
soap operas. That's been completely...
You could. You could definitely do it. It's just some dudes are like ring technicians and are really, really good. And so I guess it would have to be very collaborative, because you have to, like, figure out, okay, are you a flamboyant person or are you someone who's more like cold killer silent type? And we got to write toward that. But, you got to find the right character with the right, gimmick. And so, yeah, it would be a lot more work, and there would be a lot fewer wrestlers, and it would be almost a thing of where you wouldn't hire talent first. You would write first and then figure out, okay, who could we possibly use? But then that might be tricky because certain people are under contracts with certain feds, or certain people might be under non-compete clauses where, like, once you leave, or once you get fired, you have X amount of time, 6 months, a year, until you can work elsewhere. So
Yeah.
there would be a lot to it. It would be a lot of work, but I think it could be done, and it done well. I think it would be even more compelling and even like better to watch. But I also kind of love it for its blemishes and some of the corniness and some of the goofy wrestling stuff that happens. And
that's
you know,
what's
very
going
much
to be
like
my next
even
kind
when-
of question.
even if SNL tanks a particular episode, or they have a sketch or two that aren't great in an episode, I still love it. And I'm like, oof. But it's I don't know. There's something about it that also just makes me feel like it's okay if you goof up, or you goof up a move, or the storyline is kind of dumb, or it's acted poorly, or the execution isn't great. Like, you went out, you performed, you tried to do something, it didn't work. Not everything's gonna work. So it's kind of fun to see that journey, and to see, like, that makes the wins even better. Like when there's a really well written sketch or a script.
Would you say it's more script or sketch oriented than actually storylines? Because I know stuff does carry through, at least
It
to
is
the belts,
it is
right?
storyline, but they do little sketches and vignettes and little like skits and things like that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Because they also bring people back too. You know,
Yep.
that haven't wrestled in a while, or I'm on my last tour. What's this, John Cena?
Yeah, he's
And
doing his
he's kind of doing it. So, and The Rock comes back, and so I mean, it's not as though these people don't, and they could be written back in for, you know, they're doing it already. I'm just like, I just wonder if they just had a little more like top tier writing, like what that would look like.
It would be nice. It's tough though, because it's always that balance of the booking. Like, what matches can we do? Who's available to wrestle on a given night? Would that conflict with a storyline that's going on or not? Usually it doesn't, but if it was well written, it would just kind of be random. Like,
Sure.
these two guys, like Captain America and Red Hulk have been fighting each other for a while. All of a sudden, the next episode, Captain America is now fighting against evil Thor. And you're like, well, wait a minute, why is he? It's like, oh, it's just a throwaway battle. But when's he going to go fight with Red Hulk again? Because that was what I was here for. That's what I was looking at.
Yeah, but I mean,
Whereas
I think
if it's
like a lot
looser
of shows.
if it's looser writing, though, like with wrestling, then you can have stuff like that. Like, oh, they're just having, you know, they'll have their rematch, but right now he's going to, you know, so-and-so wants to challenge him. Okay.
Yeah, but I think of, like, I don't know, X-Files for some reason jumps in my head. Like, they'd have their main overarching plot of the government or the alien, and then they'd be like, oh, we're gonna go after Sasquatch, I think, this week. You know what I mean?
Yep.
They're like,
That's
and actually, like, some of those
supernatural
more
and/or
than yeah, I like those episodes almost more, like with the one-offs where they're just like, we're gonna go after the boogeyman.
Yeah.
That, you know, so I think they could still do that where he's after, you know, they're fighting the main bads, and then it kind of shoots off and does the little side quests and side stories, or we're focusing on this character for this episode, even though, like, oh man, it was just getting good, but that's what keeps you hooked.
It could, but it's all I'm saying is it's highly possible, but it's tough to write for that and keep it compelling, especially when you're limited to, you know, 2 guys or 4 guys if it's a tag match, like embroiled in like a storyline or something that's supposed to be meaningful. Everything's sort of like, you don't want it to like overstay its welcome, but then you have to constantly be like, okay, what's next for so-and-so? What's next for these guys? What's next?
Yeah.
And that would suck too if it's like, hey, Stone Cold, you were awesome for about a year with your one storyline, but now that you beat your boss up, that's it. We don't need you anymore. Bye-bye. Whereas, like, okay, we'll keep you on. We just got to figure out what the hell we're going to, you know what I mean? Like, it's tough whether you're like a good writer or not such a great writer, you know, and the writing is definitely lacking. It was better for a little while, and now it's kind of not great again. And a lot of it doesn't have definitive winners. You'll have like the run-ins or the disqualifications or like the surprise roll-up, and that wins the match, or there's just a no contest. It's a schmoz at the ends, and a bunch of guys just start fighting each other, and you're like, I wanted to see a distinct winner, though. Like, what are we doing, guys?
Yeah. It reminds me, like, I used to like Dragon Ball Z at first, and then I watched more. And did you ever watch that show, first of all?
Oh, yeah.
But it used to be so much build-up, and then barely...
Dragon Ball Z is,
and that's, I
in
see
my
that with a lot of
opinion, this is a
wrestling.
hot take, and a lot of people are going to be mad, but that's fine. Or no one. Or everyone. Or some. Either way, People will
Here
be
you go.
mad. Yep. So glad we got there. Dragon Ball Z to me is the weakest. So like the main ones are like Dragon Ball, which is hilarious. He's a little kid and figuring things out, figuring out his anatomy, which is also hilarious. He's like, I've got a little wiener, like just silly things that are going on. It's like the Dragon Ball is very like racy. Like there's a lot of stuff like references to a lot of like when like the anime characters get nosebleeds, that means they're like getting horny and like so there's a lot of like crazy, and like it's him like discovering that like his parts are different from like his friend Bulma's that he met, and he's like, whoa, what do you got going on there? Because my stuff is this, and it's like, what the hell? But Dragon Ball is like funny, and there's like the Red Ribbon Army stuff goes on way too long and is boring, but like the rest of it's really good, and the tournament stuff is really good. But then Dragon Ball Z is a lot of like on the last episode, and then the theme song, and then they stare at each other for a while, and then someone throws one punch, and then they all react to it. Like it's terrible, and yeah. So Dragon Ball Z, like there's some good shit, and there's like a mode that you can watch it in like on the DVD sets where it's like marathon mode where it skips a lot of that stuff. But even still, if you skip all that stuff, you're still getting all the what, who, like every single character reacting to one little thing, and before you know it, the episode's over. So that's annoying. But Dragon Ball didn't really have that, and Dragon Ball Super, which was within the past like 10 years or so, I thought like because people are like, oh, it's not as good as Dragon Ball Super was a fun watch. It was really good. And like some of the characters were really cool, and it didn't have a lot of that like overreacting, stalled reaction. The other thing too that I thought was always stupid is it's like, oh no, an impossible threat. One of us will fight it. Why don't you all kick its ass? What are you doing? Let's all be honorable and watch.
It's like,
and
it's like when the bad guys go one at a time at Batman or
it's like, someone is like attacking somebody and you and I see it. I'm like, you go ahead, Josh. And like you're getting the shit kicked out of you. I'm like, I'll wait. I'll fight after you.
Yeah.
Because how do you know I'm going to? If you're knocked the fuck out, I could like laugh with the guys and pee on you while you're knocked out and run away.
You're actually.
And then you're like, what happened? Whose pee is this? I'm like, those guys. I don't know. Like, well, what happened? I kicked their asses. That's what happened. Oh,
hey,
thanks, buddy.
Man. I scared the piss out of them.
Like, I only let them beat the shit out of you so that then I could beat them up. Like, what? That doesn't make any sense if it's your friend.
But for me, unfortunately, I found a lot of, like, I remember I didn't watch Dragon Ball Z till much later when I watched wrestling. And I found the same sort of like, there's a lot of like, waiting and like, and then, you're like reaching for like, he's not down, he's up. It's just like, oh my God, just get to the end of it. Who's the winner? Like, is there a winner? Then like you said, sometimes it's like, there's no winner, or he ran out of the ring. You're like, oh my God, we watched 3 weeks of this just for him to run away.
Yeah. Yep. Because sometimes like you never know what happens. There's behind the scenes stuff going on. Like the wrestler pissed somebody off, so it's like, nope, sorry, your storyline's over now. You're no longer chasing for the Intercontinental belt. You're going to be, fighting Brad Jones, local jobber, and you're going to lose to him. What?
Right.
Yeah.
But
so there's a lot.
You
of
find
play
that
there.
out now, though, right? You didn't back in the day.
No. Yeah, it's crazy how like with most things now, like the curtain has been lifted, and a lot of it's cool. It's neat to see what's going on, but some of it I'd rather not. Like, it'd be like, coming up next, your favorite celebrity taking a shit. Like, I don't care about that. I don't want to see that. Like, why?
Yeah.
Some stuff is just too inside. It's like, no thanks. Like, I get really disappointed. I'll see someone who I'm like, ooh, the hardest rapper to ever live. And then you see him, like, drinking tea with his pinky up. And he's like, oh, hello. I was just thinking of, demolishing my credenza and installing a new one. Like, and you're like, what is going on? Like, you know what I mean? Just your expectations are completely like shit. You're like, okay, that's neat.
Well, you wonder about that with like Eminem, right? Like that whole thing. Like he's like, like the biggest, baddest dude. And then you're like, then of course he's like, I have an elevator in my house. You're like, it's hard to like, even with Jay-Z, and I know your feelings on it, but like I'm saying, like that's the problem, right? A lot of those rappers, once you get comfortable.
Eminem was a bad dude. I just thought he was a guy.
No, I don't think you think that at all. I'm just saying, like, how bad are your problems now that you have an elevator in your house? And I know it's just like,
it's not as relatable, right? Like it's hard. So that's
good
like
for him.
It's when this is fun that this could be another episode that we talk about, like, you know, why certain rap artists or musical artists in general might speak to you for a while, but then all of a sudden they alienate their fan base because how can I relate to you? Oh, eggs Benedict again for breakfast? Oh, bother.
Yeah.
My you know, my servant Matilda, you know, and also my nanny, they failed me again. It's like, I can't relate to that at all. Of course, I also couldn't relate to a lot of, like, you know, some of the violence and other crazy stuff in some of the stuff that, you know, we grew up on listening, and like a lot of the 90s gangster rap and stuff like that. But there were elements of it that were relatable. But when you're like talking about, like, you know, how wonderful your life is, or how, you know, how you have an elevator in your home, that's not very relatable. I can't really get into that. Sorry.
Well, to me, it's not even. I never went to it for the relatable necessarily. I always loved the wordplay and like with.
Well,
with
yeah,
the
that's always the main thing.
Beats and stuff.
But I mean,
like,
if it
I get what you're saying. It's a good.
Yeah.
No, it is a good point. I'm just saying, for me though, it's almost though his character of like Eminem being like, you know, scrappy, I'll fucking kill you, the kind of thing. And it's like, you're a millionaire now, dude. Like, you're not throwing your life away to kill just because somebody calls you a dodo, like on the booth. You know what I mean? Like, that's all I meant. Like, it's not. And I guess there is a relatable aspect to it, but it's just like you built this character up, and now it's like you had to abandon him. Well, it's fine. Just do that then. And maybe that was what the last album was about. I don't know.
And you could maybe still be that character, but like the stuff that you write about, maybe make it more like palatable or relatable or whatever to you know, like who you are. Like, but it's hard, you know. I like, you know, you start out with that hunger and you put out some of your best stuff, and then if people will gobble up anything you know, turd out, you know, sometimes you get complacent and you're like, all right, here's another song, next song. Okay, good. Nope, everyone loves it. Bye-bye. Yeah. You know, I get how it could be like that. Or you could just be like, man, this is easy. Everyone loves my shit. Making music and stuff is easy.
Yeah.
It's like, no, people are just dumb, and they're like, oh, I'm supposed to like this. Everyone likes this, so I like it. Another one, please.
All right. Well, this has been a great episode. Thanks everybody for listening, and let us know what football team or sports team, let's keep it general, Vince should start following, and he'll give it a try for 2 games. Can you commit to 2 games, Vince?
But I will.
If the listeners pick of team for you, if we get a unanimous, like, you need to be a such and such fan of this team, if more than one person tells you to do it, will you watch 2 games out of that for that team?
I will if you watch to that? If you watch 2 of the top pay-per-views ever, wrestling.
That's a deal. Okay? That's a deal. We just need to get you a team.
All right.
Do you have a preference, or do you want to let the people let you decide for you?
Oh, they can decide. I can be the, you know...
the guinea pig of sorts?
Yeah. Yeah, the New Hampshire guinea pigs. That's my team. Vinny Pigs. Yeah.
Thanks for listening.